Sorry.
It clings, it clings.
What? Oh, yeah.
Too much NFL on this week.
I know, I get awful this week.
Me too.
I had a buy in my fantasy, but there's all sorts of games that are messed up because of like COVID.
I messed up next week. I won both mine.
So Travis Kelsey's my top tight end.
Yes.
And
He ended up.
he said he might be out. He might be back
No
in.
way, they just lost that test. I'm telling you right now, I'm positive when he caught that touchdown.
He ran pretty far though.
Well, I wonder what they'll do like when they get to the playoffs. What if you have like a Brady? What's if it's Brady versus Favre? Are they gonna like postpone the
That's it.
game? So why would you not want to have them like play against each other? I think you're gonna see that in the playoffs.
See Brady versus Favre?
They could, but I mean,
Rodgers.
you could see, what is,
Yeah, Favre's going.
yeah, Favre's coming back.
You still do better than some.
Brady's probably the same age as Brett Favre at this point, right?
All right, you ready?
Yes, Rodgers.
Ready whenever you are.
Meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, December 21st. Town Council meeting in the Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street. It is now 6:40 PM.
Councilman Bourget,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
Here.
Councilman Lichardi is absent. Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Ordinances, second reading of ordinance approving a tax stabilization development agreement for the construction and development of a wholesale food storage and distribution facility with corporate offices located at 40 Keys Way, West Warwick, Rhode Island, also identified as Assessor's Plat 30, Lot 51.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moving second. Any discussion?
So, like I said at the last meeting, I think it's really good for Ward 5 and the town overall, and I look forward to them coming in.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Welcome to West Warwick.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Get to work.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Please.
Merry Christmas.
Consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the November 16th, 2021 regular town council meeting, the December 7th, 2021 regular town council meeting, and the executive session of December 7th, 2021.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
Moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Liquor licenses, town council acting as the liquor commission. Consideration of expired liquor licenses. Unwind Beer and Wine Lounge LLC, Borowski's Cafe Inc., West Warwick Lodge of Elks, 1697, and the Arctic Playhouse Cabaret.
Is this a resolution or is this just,
It is not.
so you want to give us an update on these?
Sure, I'm happy to. So the renewal process for liquor licenses starts August 1st every year. We send out renewal packages to liquor license holders, basically breaking down what they need in order to have their license reapproved. Unfortunately, December 1st came and went. We called several businesses. We had a lot more outstanding, and we've called several businesses and got them in compliance in that time. Unfortunately, these 4 have been unable to come into compliance. And, I'm hopeful that they will soon, but it needs to be addressed.
Are they all separate issues?
No, I believe that each one of them is waiting on clearance from the Division of Taxation.
Okay.
So they've cleared everything through us personally.
So there's nothing we
in
can do at this
Westwork.
point anyway. So it's on the text.
It's on the state side then.
Okay.
It is on the state side, but unfortunately, a requirement of them holding a license through us is clearance through Division
So
of
these
Taxation.
licenses have not been issued.
These licenses have not.
All right. Now I know C had change in leadership
Yes,
and
they
they are
did.
working on it.
They are
So-
working on it. All
Um,
4 of them, I believe, are working on it.
And B's a year to year every year. So,
That's what I'm told.
and A and D is the first time I've really seen them on here, so. I know we try wholeheartedly to work with them, especially when it's on our end. So, I mean, I don't know what our
Legally, what?
what our legal issues would be.
General law, under alcohol beverages, Title III, expiration of dates of licenses. Every license except retailers Class F and retailers Class G shall expire on December 1st. If these 4 entities are not in compliance, their license has expired, which means right now they're operating without a license. The Town Council in Westwork of the 3/5/15 is the local licensing authority, which means unless there's a different rule or regulation as it relates to an extension of time, basically the ball lands squarely in your court. Under 3/5/21, revocation or suspension of licenses, fines for violating conditions of license, you have the opportunity, if they're put on notice, to fine them or close them down. Also states under 5D, under any violation by a licensee under 3/5/21, the local licensing board, which is the town council, at its sole discretion may impose a limitation on the hours of the operation of the licensee, regardless of the license type, notwithstanding any prior approval of an application for a later closing time. So you kind of run the gamut of you can close them down or you can reduce their hours. Or if you choose to do nothing, you could subject yourself to potential litigation if there's a problem because there's no license. And obviously, if there's a problem, i.e. a DWI, somebody gets killed, they'll look to the town for deep pockets, but it probably won't go anywhere. We went through that at a meeting back on December 8th about what the town's liability would be, and it's limited because of the governmental tort liability statute and also the public duty doctrine. So there's been attempts. This was brought to my attention on the 7th. We did have the meeting on the 8th. Originally, there was a discussion about shutting everyone down as of last Friday at midnight, but that did not occur because I think the town clerk and the town manager wanted you guys to hear it and then have your thoughts on it. So you do have some powers to close them down completely or to limit their hours.
There's no timetable now? Is the holdup on the state? Is it just moving slowly on their end? Is that what the issue is?
Without the state being here, and I don't mean to speak for you, but if you're responsible for state taxes that could have been paid in January of last year or June of this year or whenever, because we don't know the tax situation.
That's what I mean.
We don't know
that
We don't
information.
know if there's prior years. Notice was given on August 1st, August 1st, just like it always has been for December 1st compliance date. And again, not speaking out of school, but if you walk your payment into the Division of Taxation, they'll accept it. You might have to wait a half an hour, but you'll get a receipt indicating that it's paid. If you mail it in, because of COVID issues and personnel issues, who knows when it may be addressed. But the burden is on the licensee, not the town.
So my next question, you said you can reduce the hours, but when you say the town could be on the hook for a DUI or something that's resulting, they can come after the town.
No,
Whether they're open 5 hours or 8 hours, you can still get drunk in 2 hours.
right, but I want to be clear that they're just coming after the town as a deep pocket. Highly unlikely they would be successful in a claim against the town. But because of the non-licensed part of
It's a
it,
lawsuit we don't need to be in.
right. So right now, as of December 1st, their licenses are no longer active.
It's just me, I would, and it's, we've always tried to work with everyone. And again, it's been almost 4 months, 5 months, so you're obviously actively working with them,
Michelle calls a lot of these license holders, weekly, if not 2-3 times a week, checking in, reminding them. I mean, they've all been told, and they all have their various, situations, but yes.
over there, where this timeline that you spoke of was it Mark that I talked with the timeline on Friday? Was that a timeline that was given to the businesses that you guys just mentioned?
There was a discussion between the colonel of the police department, chief of the fire department, town manager, Matt Manning for the state fire department, state marshal, excuse me, Bob Asselone, Sarah and myself. And the thought was that give them another 10 days at least to come into compliance, because when you started this project, there were 20-something entities. And through the hard work of the clerk's department, they were able to get that 21 number down to 4. Now 4, for lack of a better term, the check's in the mail, but the town has no idea of whether or not the licensee is being truthful, whether or not.
I just struggle with like 4 days before Christmas, like closing businesses down.
Well-
If they're trying, again, I don't know. We don't know the tax situation for any of the businesses because we can't do that.
But it's not really 4 days before Christmas. They actually had 4 months to get this,
Yeah, no, I get
get their affairs in order.
I get it.
Is the 21 that you started with unusual? I mean, I know this is your first
This is my
year, so,
first
and I
year.
understand that.
I do think that 21 was more than usual. I would like to think that, in my experience, I've never been in the seat where December 1st, I don't have someone in compliance. So this is a new territory for me. Where I come from, we always had everyone comply. But I think that, Michelle has worked very hard to going above and beyond of calling people, helping them. We have a direct line to the Division of Taxation for an up to the minute. If someone has come in compliance, we would know right away, kind of trying to bridge between the two and reporting back as to what the needs are from each license holder. I mean, we've really, I feel done more than any other town would do at this point.
Was there a common theme between the 21, like paid it and it just didn't process through, like Tim said, maybe it's a COVID thing or?
I think the deadline has not really been enforced prior. So I don't think there's a lot of incentive for people to meet that deadline.
Okay.
On the state side, it hasn't been enforced.
No,
On the town
side.
side.
We haven't enforced that.
There's very few licenses in West Warwick that are actually controlled by Department of Business Revenue, the Liquor Commission. One of those are the Class Ps. I'd say 99% of the licenses in town are controlled by you as the local licensing board.
I will say that, with my experience, that the Division of Taxation, as Tim said, you can walk in, you can call them, you can sit there, even within, you actually sit in the. out
They
in the
take an hour or
auditorium.
two, but you'll get in-person service that particular day, and you'll get, once they accept your check, they will give you a receipt. Obviously, if there's a problem with the check, they'll notify you, but you can get it done by walking it in.
You get a receipt right there, and it'll take a day or two to get a certificate or letter of good standing. However, you can go and pick that up as well, so.
And they instantly notify us. So
Yes.
they have an online system. We can go on and check right away. But
So we wouldn't have to, if they did it, wouldn't have to wait.
if someone did it today, we would already know.
So, I mean, I don't know, what are our options here as far as?
We can give a deadline, let's like by Friday.
That's what I was, some
Yeah.
kind of deadline.
My suggestion would be is official notice from the town council through the clerk's office that it was discussed, notices going out. If you're not in compliance by a date that you decide.
Yeah, I like that. I don't, whatever day, I like that. I don't want to just have it be done right this moment,
Just so the notice is completed, the town will start the process of revocation under the statute within, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, depending on when the first meeting in January would be, because then you'd have to act separately as the local liquor licensing
So,
commission.
so for example, let's say we gave, whatever, 5-7 days
Mhm.
from this point, and they're not in compliance, then they wouldn't be able to get back and they wouldn't be able to open back up until we met
But
again.
you'd meet again, and basically you would take a vote at that time to revoke their license. And then if that revocation takes place, now it's subject to
So-
appeal.
So, no, so-
Yeah, but no, what I think he's asking, and Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong. If the town shuts them down,
Mhm.
when they go in compliance, the clerk can then issue their reopening.
But no, but I'm saying,
They don't have to come back
if
before.
we
us
give
for
them
more.
5 days and they haven't taken care of it in 5 days,
Right.
is their license automatically revoked from that, at that point?
It's not revoked, but.
They shut down
They don't,
until they become
don't have a
compliant.
valid
That's what I mean. They wouldn't be able to operate.
The
It's-
revocation process is actually a legal procedure that you have to undertake.
I
as a
understand,
liquor
but they wouldn't be able to be open. In
No.
fact, that's,
No, they can be shut down, and there's a statute that allows the police department to shut them down.
So just to make it clear, if we choose 5 days and they don't comply after 5 days, they're shut down. we can't revoke their license till our next meeting
So
officially.
You'd have to actually give them notice, have a hearing, revoke their license, and if their license is revoked, that allows them to appeal it. But right now, as it stands, they just don't have a valid license in effect.
And between that 5-day time and our next meeting, if they come into compliance, they can be reopened and they don't have to worry about coming before us. Okay.
Exactly. Because we haven't started the revocation procedure yet.
Well, I
So
mean,
does that, I'm sorry, maybe I napped for a minute. So are you saying that the establishment may stay open until we have our next meeting? That's what I guess maybe we want to hear from the police chief as well.
It's up to you guys to allow them to stay open, because you could act on the license right now, because under Rhode Island General Law 312-1, duty of deputy sheriffs, town constables, and police officers, they could be shut down because they don't have an active license. So it's there's a little bit of minutia in here about the legalese, but they do not have an active valid license right now, which means the town can, under its authority as a local liquor commission, send the police department to close them
do
down.
do you have any, chief or Mark, you have any input on this situation?
I mean, nobody wants to do this.
No, this is the
I
first
mean,
time. I don't think I've seen this since I've been on, where we've had this come up.
I think
So
that
when you
goes back
talk
to what
about how
Sarah was
many,
saying.
I haven't had any. Have you had any in the last, not in the last?
So
few years?
like I said, Michelle's done a very good job over the years. We have been a little lenient. She does push them. This is the first time that and Sarah brought it to my attention. She had a meeting here a couple weeks ago in regards to it with the solicitor, the police chief, and whoever else. I was unable to attend, but it was, personally, like I said, Michelle has always pushed. It's usually, sometimes we end up with January 1st, but that's, it's been very difficult.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a balance here where we can be
If I may,
fair to the
I
businesses.
just want to be clear that the way the statute refers to these establishments are unlicensed liquor shops. So anybody that's got a liquor license, now it's deemed to be unlicensed only because their license has become invalid as of December 1st.
I think, if I may, our meeting that we had on the 8th was very productive, getting everyone together to improve this process going forward. And, I think that we will continue to start on August 1st, but maybe sending out, inspections earlier, making sure that everyone has their stuff well before it gets to this point. Including certified letters, maybe as of November 1st, like if you don't come into compliance by the 30th.
But also, but like you said, it looks like all on our end was all completed, right? I mean, this.
As far as you guys are concerned, yes, you've already given your approvals subject to them completing.
And the licensees know what the conditions of their license are, so
They know that on
No, but I'm saying none of these are being held up for anything.
No.
from
Nothing to do
approvals.
with
They-
us.
yeah.
Nope.
No, in the past, some of it had to do with us, inspections were behind or whatever. So,
Right,
we were a little more lenient. This has nothing to do with us. It's more.
correct.
Would you like to weigh in?
I'm a believer that if you have a process and it's open and notorious, that you should be able to follow it. I think if you folks want to extend a short time frame as a courtesy, more or less, to get in compliance, especially knowing that these are all division of taxation issues. And if you put something in the mail, you have an opportunity to do it in person. It doesn't take that long to do it. You just need to make yourself physically available and go address your issues. So, I mean, I wouldn't object to a short time frame, but
So what would you?
to continue
No,
to drag this
No, I
out.
agree. What would you recommend
says-
for a?
Before that question, though, I think, can we hand deliver something like that? Does it have to be certified mail or does it?
No, appropriate notice is, normally it's regular mail, that there's no, you don't have to send it certified mail, but usually you're gonna send a regular mail, certified mail, and provide them with notice. My understanding is that our clerk's office has spoken to all of these with the exception of one. They all know what's going on,
all
and
of
for
them.
various reasons, they have not chosen to address the tax issue by walking in or address other issues. So there comes a point in time when the town is only able to do so much, and then the licensee says either I'm going to comply or not.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because if we say like by Friday and we have to mail it and it goes out tomorrow, I mean, they're not even gonna get the letter until like Friday. So
Yeah, that's a good
that-
idea.
that's what I'm
You could have-
saying is-
You could have it dropped off by a police officer tomorrow or in the regular rounds if the colonel agrees to do that, or have a member of the town or.
and that's what I'm asking, if it has to be mail, if it has to
Oh,
be
doesn't have to
certified
be
mail,
mailed.
or if it can be
You
hand
you
delivered.
hand delivered.
Okay.
And as long as you're getting someone that can receive it at the other end, that's fine.
Right.
It doesn't have to be mailed, no. But it should be in writing, absolutely.
Yeah, I knew it had to be in writing. I just didn't know if we had to mail it, because obviously it takes away time frame.
Colonel Levine, do you want to weigh in?
Well, certainly we'll make ourselves available for any direction that the town council wishes to head in. If hand delivering letters tomorrow or the following day in person is going to help out the situation, we'll certainly be glad to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. What was the time? I know you got cut off. There you go.
That's totally up to your discretion. I mean, whether you're saying you want to do it Friday to give them to prep before Christmas, or you're going to do it next Friday, so you're prepping for New
Yeah,
Year's.
I guess.
I mean, your next council action would be January 4th, so there's notice required there too, and if you don't.
I mean,
So
if you
is
give them
there-
the 5 days, which would be the 26th, the day after Christmas, odds are there's only gonna be one of these open up on maybe Christmas Eve, and maybe Christmas night, but the other three probably will not be open Christmas Eve and Christmas Day or night. So, and I'm speaking of B, which is Borowski's will probably be the one that's open at night. But other than that, the other three would probably unwind, and West Warwick Lodge of Elks, I'm not even sure what's going on there. Like, I know they changed leadership and they changed, so they just did not get there and do it. So they're,
I say Monday by 4.
So I will just throw this out, and I don't know if any of these, does the Elks have a New Year's Eve thing going on that they've sold tickets to? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just.
That's why I'm saying
hypothesizing.
Monday by 4. That still gives them, the rest of this week and all day Monday to get in order. If it's just going down to the Division of Taxation where you can walk
They
in.
can do it and still be open for New Year's Eve if they take care of the issues,
Exactly.
right?
yeah.
What do you feel about both chief and town manager, that timeline Monday?
Have a New Year's party, yeah.
We're being more than reasonable.
Okay.
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, at least if we deliver notice to them,
Tomorrow.
yeah, and then the playoffs, like you said, I don't.
Well, tomorrow, somebody who's going to draft that. And do we know what it says?
Draft it.
You will?
At least we've given notice. We tried to be as flexible as possible, but being fair to the other businesses in town that are in compliance too. So I think it's a balance of being fair to both of them.
And I'm sure if the clerk's office has talked to all four,
Yeah.
that we can reach out to them tomorrow, give it to them in writing, drop it off, but also give them a courtesy call and say, just letting you know, we're dropping off a letter at your place of business tomorrow.
So you want the letter to say Monday at 4, they have till Monday at 4 to come into compliance.
And if they don't,
The doors are shut.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's what would happen.
The doors are
I don't
shut.
know. It hasn't happened since I've been on the council where anybody's got shut down for that, correct? And not in a few years anyway.
The only
No,
one
not
that I
to my
know is they've removed the alcohol from the premise. So they didn't need the license anymore. And we went in and we verified they removed the alcohol and they were still serving food, which that's another whole thing.
Right. And it could be that they do have active victualling licenses. I'm not sure in these cases, and that could be a possibility where they could still operate as a victualling house, but just not be able to serve liquor. My hope is that all 4 of them will be in compliance come Monday at 4.
Yeah,
I
the
just-
playhouse can still have plays. It just can't serve alcohol.
Right.
That's,
And then, so then if they're not, they get shut down and then then it comes back to us on the next council meeting and then we review whether we're revoking the license, correct?
If they're not in compliance.
If
by
they're
that
not in
meeting,
compliance
right.
by January. And if they are, then does it still come back or it's
No.
just a moot point and it's all taken care
wait
of?
till next year.
Would you like that to be stated on the letter as well, beyond the Monday at 4 deadline? If they don't meet that deadline, that they will be placed on the January 4th agenda for,
If they
to begin the
don't meet
revocation.
January
process.
4th agenda, well, so it has to be on the agenda the Friday before. So if they're not in compliance by whatever date that may be, let me just.
Is that a holiday?
They'll be on the agenda.
No,
by
it'd
Thursday.
be No, we don't need it for the agenda.
The agenda's gonna have to.
Our first meeting is the 7th. No.
But is the Friday considered a holiday?
January 4th.
I don't know. So it's New Year's
It is
Eve.
not.
It is
No.
not. Okay.
So they
Is
would,
it here?
so if they're not in compliance, December 31st, or we'll say December 30th, because you got to get, are we closed on the 31st?
We have a half a day.
Half day, so, I would say if you're not in compliance, that because that way there you'll say you'll be on
Well,
the
our agenda
agenda.
deadline is technically Wednesday at 4, so
Yes.
I think that it's important that we adhere to that.
So if they're not in compliance by 4 o'clock on Monday, the 27th, they'll be on the.
29th.
No, the 29th is Wednesday.
No,
27.
27, no, the 20.
27th is Monday.
Yes.
They'll be on the agenda for the 29th, notifying them that the revocation process will stop.
Right.
Yeah.
But as of
Then if
Monday at
then
4,
if you're
there
in
no
compliance,
more.
you just table
Table it.
or
Right.
don't address the agenda item.
Right.
That works.
Do
You got your
Sarah, I'll
direction?
reach out to you in the morning and
we need
take care of that.
to make a motion or no?
No, there was no, it's just
Thank you.
consideration.
Okay, business licenses.
Move the licenses.
Second.
Move a second discussion. I do have some discussion on 17 Mega One LLC Smokeland for Sunday and holiday sales license. I received numerous emails over the past 2 weeks that is the owner of this here tonight? Smokeland, yes. If you want to just come up. I received numerous emails over the past couple of weeks that looks like you're ready to open and no permits were ever pulled.
We
No
don't
bill,
know.
huh?
We get all the permits for the electric and for the building.
All right, unless things have changed since the last week, and again, I'm not sure. I just want to make sure that you're aware that your license is based upon approval after building, plumbing, electrical, and fire has inspected and they sign off on it. I just want to make it clear that although we vote on this license tonight and pass it, that you must be in compliant with all those.
We wait for the inspection, all of them. So when the inspection done, then we open. When they approve all the inspection.
All right. That's the only thing I have. Any other questions? Any public comment on these licenses? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Appointments and resignations. Request from Virginia Demasi for reappointment to the Juvenile Hearing Board for term ending December 2025.
I would move that Jenny be reappointed to the Juvenile Hearing Board.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Again, Ginny's been on there a long time, does
Yes.
a great job. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from Anna Maria Ramundo for reappointment to the Juvenile Hearing Board for term ending December 2025.
I'd move Anna's name for reappointment to the Juvenile Hearing Board.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? And another one who's always been very good on that board. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resignation of Adam Satchel from the Westwork Pension Board.
With regret, I guess I will move acceptance of Adam's resignation from the pension board. We'll have a discussion a little later on at how difficult it is to actually fill those positions and the ultimate people that are paying the price are people that are looking for pensions to be paid. So Adam has made it clear that he is ready to resign from the board.
I
So
will regretfully second that then.
All right, and again, I know Adam's tried. I know he's been frustrated himself. I know members of the board have been frustrated, and I know employees have been very frustrated with things going on the pension board. So unfortunately, with that being said, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Aye.
And Adam's letter is attached and he does talk about his concern about being associated with some of the wait times and I understand that. So,
Completely.
and
I wouldn't want to be.
Totally understand.
New business, approval of claims submitted by Sean Karen of 12 Nicole Drive in the amount of $1,657.62.
So I will move the denial of this claim regretfully. I think we've talked about it many, many times. We've had people go out, look at it. I believe it's an insurance company issue. I don't believe it's a town issue.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Karen? State your name and address for the record.
Is that piece of metal in the sidewalk, is that the town's property?
Again, we don't even know what that metal piece is. It looks like it might have been from 611. There's no electrical wires coming
Which was
through.
what the gas station was
The
previously
gas station
called.
previous to.
What's 611?
That was the name of,
611
that
was
was the name of the gas station previously. the one
Previous to
that's-
this.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Sam's, I think.
Yeah, it used to, yeah.
So according to this, the electrical inspector, he stated that was part of the town's lighting system.
After speaking to Fred Gill afterwards, and that's not the first typo on that letter, because I had him correct the other typo.
It's not what?
The first typo on that letter was that Fred Gill approved. And then after discussing with him, I'm like, well, wait a minute, you have two different conversations on here, is approve and disapprove. And he said it's supposed to be disapprove. And the electrical inspector has no inkling of that being electrical. He should have said not an electrical.
We actually received communication from the electrical inspector today,
Yes. Yes.
maybe,
That's today.
stating that it was not part of the town lighting system.
No, but why'd they put it in there?
No, it was a typo. And that
I'm-
should not
I'm-
have been.
I don't know what you're looking at, but we did reach out to,
It was in the original
yeah.
months ago
Yeah,
where he
okay.
said it could be.
So we apologize for any confusion that was caused by that typographical error, but the electrical inspector did today reach out to town manager, the town council, and indicated that it was not part of the town lighting system.
But the owner of, or the man that owns this gas station, he told me that was a street light and it got knocked down by a accident over there.
No.
And and he's been there since 2000.
And there was another person who had run into the same problem years ago and had to go through the town.
Well, we don't know what happened.
Well,
to
we don't
him.
know what happened, but
Mhm.
we're not the only ones, which brings to mind a concern that I have about an obstruction being where it's placed in that sidewalk directly across the street from Horgan's School. And I can't help but feel that maybe not today, not tomorrow, not a year from now, if some child was running across the street, riding a bicycle, if a pedestrian was walking and there was some snow covering that obstruction, an accident could definitely occur. Someone could be injured extremely. And then what will the town do about that?
Nothing.
So,
Yeah.
so
Nothing.
So I'm saying, who is responsible?
So they'll
Maybe
s-
if, even if the town is not responsible, we can find out who is responsible. So in case of something happening, not only to us, but in the future, that
So,
the
Mrs. Karen,
situation could be remedied.
I know we pointed out that it is a state road. It is state sidewalks, so we will probably be reaching out to the state to find out what they can do to remedy it.
We'll get it removed. It'll be removed.
I
Figure out
agree
the
with you,
way and
Mr.
we'll get
Karen.
it
It
done.
probably should be removed, whether it's the state or town. I agree with you.
Because-
But we don't, again, our electrical inspector has said that it is not part of the town lighting system, never has been, and he's been the inspector for some time.
Well, unfortunately, we were under the impression with. the
And again, I
letter that we
apologize for that. I apologize for that.
The typo was.
Part of the electrical, but that really should be removed. There's no reason. for
I don't
to
think
be
that-
Sitting there.
At this point, and you've brought it to our attention, whether it's ours or or the state removes it, we would agree that it should be removed.
Well, if the owner of the gas station told me that it was a street light, whose street light was it? Is it the states or is it towns or who's gonna remove that thing?
I assume you will
We're
work
going to
with the,
coordinate the removal no matter who owns it.
that's correct.
So
What'd you say?
no matter who owns it, we'll take care of, we'll figure out a way to get it removed. So it's not an issue.
What about my car?
Again, if that was a light post and you hit it, your insurance would be paying for the light post, whoever owned it. But we're saying it's not, that was never one of our town structures. And there are plenty along the roadway there. Whatever that was not one of them. So, I mean, there were plenty there. They do get hit sadly from time to time and we need to get them fixed and replaced. But that particular, whatever that was not part of the town system. It doesn't fit in sequentially to where the other ones are. The base is different. It doesn't match. So whatever it is, we're speculating that it was some type of sign to the gas station prior to the current gas station. And it was just never properly removed by the owner, but we agree with you that it's a defect and it's a hazard. So we're going to make sure it's removed.
I would
But
tell you,
did-
Mr. and Mrs.
Did
Karen,
did anybody talk to the owner of the gas station now?
Mr. Karen, I
No, so-
went down there 3 times. I got out and looked at it. I don't even know how you drove into it.
so.
Well, I
and-
did.
And
It looks like you drove right through the curb. That's the problem. I don't, and I understand you got a low riding car. It's got a low fin in front, a low grill. I understand that. But if in between there, in the entranceway, there's a handicap accessible and a crosswalk. So I'm not sure where you were trying to enter into that parking lot.
Well, if you want to come down there with me and I'll show you how,
Well,
but it did catch my bumper.
and there's
totally
no
understand that.
question.
There's no
And
ifs,
and
no
you know what?
buts.
I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for the rest of the council. I would like nothing more than to say, give you the money. But we can't do that. I mean, it is not a town issue. We cannot spend the taxpayers' money. Again, I said this to David when we walked out last time. I would love to give it to you. But, and have you gone through, I believe with what Mark says, it's an insurance company issue. And I don't know if your insurance company has denied the claim?
Well, my insurance company,
Yeah.
no, it didn't go through them because I got to pay a deductible.
Yeah.
I got to pay a deductible on that.
Again, personally, yes, I wish we could say yes. We can't. As fiduciaries of the town, we cannot say yes to the claim.
I mean, we're taxpayers ourselves,
Yes,
right here in town.
And
Years.
Mr. and Mrs. Karen, if we paid this, then everybody who hit any kind of structure in town would always come and say, we want money. It's an accident. And, you know, it's not our position to pay out on people's car accidents. That's what you do have car insurance for. It's unfortunate because I agree with Council Vice President Williamson. I would love to just give you the money also. I feel bad for you, but at the same time, it's a car accident. And, you know, whether that's state-owned or town-owned or private person-owned, it's still on the sidewalk where,
Well, which
you know.
brings us back to the question, God forbid somebody really gets hurt and they submit claims to you.
And now,
town,
you
you
have,
know.
you have brought it to our attention, and as the town manager has said, we will somehow figure out how to get that removed, just so that does not happen. So we appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and I really do apologize that there's no way that we as a council can approve it.
why is it that hard to figure it out? It's over a month.
Actually, I think we've been very consistent in our answers. I think we've tried to find a way to help to pay it, but there's no, it does, the answer comes back the same every time. We cannot use town funds to pay that claim.
and part of the reason why this was dragged out is because of the typos in the original
Yes, so we.
letter that was sent. The typos really made it difficult because even I was confused because of the typos. But we did get an email this morning from Mr. Argenti, And he says that's state road. He was involved when the project over at Royal Mills was being done, and there was never any state or town lighting over there.
So the typo is that he didn't go to the spot with the electrical inspector?
No,
No.
the electrical inspector was there and he said it is not an electrical, not a street light or anything to do with
It's
the
not a
town.
town.
Says
He put in the original typo was, it said that it is a street light, but it's not a street light.
I went to, and he said that it was part of the town's lighting
System.
system.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be,
Should say
it's not.
not part of the town.
That was the typo.
Oh, I get it.
Because actually in the original, it also said that the director Gill at the time said he is approving. And I actually emailed him and said, well, wait a minute, in one sentence you're saying it's not ours, you're not approving, but in the resolution, your recommendation is to approve. And then there was a response back. He said, I have it right. And I said, no, go and read the resolution. And then he even said, sorry about that, and corrected that. So that was the very first night. We just got clarification from the electrical inspector today on the second half, on his typo.
So did he look at it?
Yes,
He did. He did.
He doesn't know what it is.
it's definitely not
No.
lighting.
He said he doesn't, it's not the town. Again.
No.
We apologize, but we can't in good conscience do that.
Have a motion to deny. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Consideration of vandalism at Factory Street Playground.
Mark?
I'm not certain why it's on here, other than the fact that obviously we've been experiencing some vandalism at the playground, and actually we learned this week at the nearby orchard. It's my belief, since it'll be the off season now, that we'll work through the winter to come up with some type of better plan, whether it's a combination of lighting, surveillance, adult supervision. But it's sad when the state is, or we have to discuss it or deal with this or pay to replace something that was a significant investment of town and grant funds, that we have to deal with the behavior, inappropriate behavior of whatever age group is doing it. Because obviously it takes away the enjoyment and safety of those that want to use it in a productive manner. So it's frustrating, but we're looking for a variety of answers to try to come up with some better solutions. Again, lighting, cameras, different groups offer some adult supervision time, especially during the peak time, which seems to be the few hours after middle school dismissal or during varsity sporting events when the numbers are high.
Fred?
Good evening, council. So we put together a packet of all the vandalism and all the issues right now that we haven't fixed yet. We already fixed a few times
Thanks.
on the fence. We fixed the fence twice and the gate. The gate's broken again, and there's 2 more sections of fence that also have to be fixed. So I just went through the list of some certain items. So the toddler swing was $132. So there was 3 sections of fence. That's like $95. Rivets and gate hardware, $43. The replacement of the fence topper, $38 times the 2 at $76. There's all kind of graffiti. $19 for the graffiti remover. And hardware for the swings, $18. So, and then you got, for the employees, I have to go there and actually fix everything. It was $192 for the 2 employees for 4 hours. So you get a total of almost $857. So if you do that once a month, it's over $10,000. That I don't think that we spent enough on this playground. I don't want to spend any more. So we need to figure out how we can justify and fix this problem without adding more pressure to the taxpayer.
Parental supervision.
Yeah,
I think that's an option we have though to do.
I mean, they're bringing bikes on there,
Yeah, it's awful.
you know,
I see it, I see it when I,
to hop on the fence, they're breaking the trees on the orchard. I mean, come on.
and you can't have, it's not, like you can have a detail on the playground every day. It's just not feasible. So I don't know what suggestions you gentlemen have. I know we talked about getting some cameras maybe in that direction, but that doesn't really necessarily.
We can do, cameras, I mean, we can do, I mean, we just can't have everybody up there 24 hours a day, you know?
We have to make sure though, if somebody is caught, that they are prosecuted. We have to make sure, because that's gonna be the best deterrent is when people start getting prosecuted for
The
such.
first day I locked it, I got a phone call that they were up there with rocks, trying to bust the lock off the fence and kicking the gate in. Now, I went up there and I sat there for about 45 minutes. And the time that I was there, 5 kids tried to jump the fence. They were kicking the fence, trying to get in. And then the following day, actually, I'm sorry, not the following day, when I got the information about the trees being broke, I talked to the lady who gave me those, and she said she went up there and the playground was full of kids and it's locked. So they're hopping the fences, they're kicking the fences in to get in, they're doing everything they can to get in. I don't know what else we
What
can
is this,
do.
what does the signage look like as far as the saying is closed?
It just says parks closed.
Yeah, I mean, first, maybe we could have something, I don't know, a little bit
I'm gonna
bigger.
be honest with you. I spent 5 hours up there one night and you can electrify that fence and they're gonna get over it.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's horrible what's going on up there. And you're saying parental supervision. I'm sorry, but after school's out, there's zero parental supervision from 3 to dark. They just stay there. They don't, there's no parents up there except for the parents who are bringing their younger ones up there. And even they have shared their disbelief of the amount of language, what they're dealing with. They're deterring actually going up there from bringing their kids
Now,
up there anymore.
people have suggested an age, but I don't know, I feel it's a playground.
So,
How
I mean,
do
we
playgrounds
can
usually?
put all the signage in the world up there, it's
Yeah.
not gonna solve the problem. So I think all the signage, if we have 10 signs there, that's gonna be more of an eyesore than anything else.
Yeah. No, I didn't know, I didn't mean permanent signage. I meant while it's closed right now, if we had something saying it's closed. I don't know, I don't like have an answer as far as, you're not gonna go. You can go bring in kids, arresting kids and bringing them back to their parents. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what answer, what we're gonna stop them from doing it.
That's usually the best, that's usually the best thing is when the child gets arrested and the parents have to pay the bill.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah, especially for people breaking it 100%. I just mean as far as the kids being there. And
We
jumping.
actually gave you the PG version of the graffiti.
I figured that I was looking for the,
So-
I was looking for the good stuff. I wasn't.
Also, the picnic tables up there. I got notification today, we're gonna end up pulling them out of there too, because they're writing racial comments on them and drawing very nasty pictures on them. So I think it's best that we get them out of there for the winter also. I got that phone call this afternoon.
So all the
So-
swings are down, everything's down at this point?
Everything is down.
Is there would there be any merit to doubling the size of that fence if that's possible? I don't know. You say electrify and it's
It
not
should
gonna
have
make
been
a
a 10
difference,
foot
but
fence, to be honest.
Well, so should we be- should we be doing that?
Climbing the fence. And I think, in my personal
I mean, that,
opinion,
Or
that's
be more of a,
probably,
or be more of a challenge. for them
that's
to climb
probably
over.
not a
I mean,
huge expense, is it?
from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'd say lock it.
10 grand for the 4-foot fence, so it's gonna be another 10.
Yeah, I can definitely, we'll get some of the prices for the fence.
I mean, if you're gonna spend $800 a month, you might as well spend it on something that you can help to prevent it. I mean, that's
You just had a suggestion of closing it at a certain time?
From 1 to 4, the kids get out of school at 1:30, I believe.
Unfortunately,
But that leaves other parents.
They wanna
with their
use
little
that-
ones
I totally
yeah,
agree with you,
kinda-
but I'm just trying to
So-
pick the
yeah, I'm just
lesser
saying.
evils, you know?
I'm
As
all
usual,
for-
the good people end up having to
I
suffer.
was gonna say,
because-
that's exactly, but I'm all for any kid being on that playground and playing. I saw all sorts of sizes, ages and everything playing on that playground. When they are supervised and yelled at or whatever, they somewhat listen. But again, we can't do that 24/7 up there. So, we probably need a little bit of help from the school department. We probably need a little help from
does this,
Lori.
They've all, honestly, we've all been working together, the school department,
And I
the rec
believe it.
department, everybody's
Does
been
the
working
school have
together
ju-
trying to
Because it's
rectify
right
it.
after school, does the school have jurisdiction as far as punishment? If
No,
it's
No, off-school property is what I was
Yeah,
told.
It's public, it's town property, not. school
Right.
property.
The dean of-
But I
dean
thought
of
if
students-
if somebody was going home from school, on their way from school, so if a kid's walking home from school and something happens, I thought the school had some on there, I don't know.
Gray area, maybe.
I'm just saying there might be more punishment to be able to do.
So let me
school-wise.
clarify.
I think that's
The
more
dean
for
of
civil
students-
liability to the school, not what the school can actually do outside.
The dean of students has been very helpful in dealing with certain matters up there and, you know, using the cameras and whatever else. And, you know, because, for instance, they did take responsibility during homecoming night, you know. Me and Jill Fisher and Ken Townsend orchestrated it, but Jill Fisher, myself and her sister sat there for 5 hours the whole time. And because a lot of damage was happening during football nights. So they worked with us. I volunteered. I said, I'll be more than happy to come sit up there. It was eye-opening. It was, you know, having conversations with some of the kids. You know, we did talk to them. We said, guys, you know, be careful with this stuff. It's paid for. You know, your parents are paying for it, whatever it may be. And most kids would understand. There was a couple of kids, you know, it would handle a little different. If I was a kid, I know I probably went on the ground looking up at my father and saying, I'm sorry, but, you know, unfortunately, it was definitely eye-opening that night. And I get the same reports. Jeff called us on a Saturday morning. Ken Townsend and I both went up there. We looked at it. We were in disbelief. But then while we're up there, you know, there's 20, 30 kids all having fun. You know, parents are sitting there with them and there's no issues. You know, it's, you know, the 10, 20 that are just ruining it for everybody. And it's unfair. And unfortunately, you know, we have a lot of money invested in that playground. I've said it before, probably the worst place for a playground because all the kids from the school attract to there and that's it. That's where they go. And it's a hangout. And unfortunately, when you have, you know, 1, 2 kids hanging out, you usually don't have a problem. When you got 20, 30 kids hanging out, it then becomes a problem.
I know the other day, talking to Lori, they had 2 separate fistfights on that playground.
Last Monday.
And now Lori is going out there to break these fights up as the police are on their way. She's gonna get hurt one of these times. You know, she shouldn't be.
Can I ask a question? As
Just come on up to the mic. You are on the rec committee, so,
I guess say my name stuff.
yes.
My address?
Yeah.
Derek Reed, 6200 F. First of all, we kind of briefed this conversation with these 2 gentlemen and some other people at our first rec committee meeting. And the biggest question was, who does this playground belong to? Does it belong to the Civic Center?
No.
Does it belong to DPW? Does it belong to the school department? That's kind of like what I believe would be the first step is who is responsible for this thing. The other part of this is, yeah, you don't want to close it from 1 to 4 because of the little ones. I get that. But in the same aspect, the police department's short on help. You can't designate a police officer up there to be the referee from 1 to 4. So I wouldn't say 4 would be, I think if it's closed from 1 to 3 or 1 to 2:30, well, no, 1 to
sounds good.
3 would be good because when the older kids it's the older kids that's the problem. We've all come to that conclusion from discussions I've had with these 2 and at the rec committee, the whole talk we had is 1 to 3 close it. Because those kids, it's the older kids that are causing the problem that are coming out of junior high and high school. And I would probably say not all the junior high, but the older side.
An elementary school gets.
Okay, so
3:50.
they're gonna understand that that's gonna be closed from 1 to 3. At 1 to 3, if you're caught on the inside, then that's where they go, that's where the police department probably takes over for trespassing or loitering or whatever you want to call it. Get a couple of those kids in front of the juvenile hearing board. And the words, like David said, spreads fast when you get in trouble. Then you're going to get less of that activity. And they're not gonna hang around. Then you might be able to go for like an hour when school lets out, so that rush is gone, and they're not gonna go there. But if they're allowed to go there and you're trying to defer it from happening, it's never gonna happen. Lori's not gonna stop high schoolers from fighting. And if she tries to get in the middle, the way of fighting these days is different than it was when I grew up. Okay? And then the other side of it is, do you want to put her in that position? Because she's the closest resource to that playground at that time. Or the resource officer that's in the high school, is there a way that he can come out of the high school during that time to kind of monitor this playground? And if there's physical altercations going on, you cuff them and you take them in and you let mom and dad come get them. Then they go before the juvenile hearing board again. And I think once that process starts and they start learning that, yeah, no, this isn't the place to do this, I think it's gonna find itself its own resolution. But then on top of that, when it's closed like this right now and they're trying to jump the fence, you can still do the same thing or go with a higher fence. If you come over an 8-foot fence, I know every time I've tried an 8-foot fence when I was younger, I usually got stuck on the top and found the hard way to the bottom and then got in trouble anyways. I just think there's some remedies that can be done and not a big expense to at least try and then take it from there. That's my opinion. Thank you.
I can see you trying to cover the fence now.
Yeah.
I also want to see.
But we still have people in there now and it's closed now, right? I mean, that's the only thing. I think people are in there right now and it's been closed since what, like maybe about 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
And I think hopefully the only saving grace might have is this might only happen during when like the school lets out. Hopefully in the summertime, they're off doing their own thing. And then actually, the kids that are for, the appropriate age can actually play there and not have to worry about it.
You can go by there any summer day,
It's always packed.
from 8 a.m.
Saturday,
till
on the weekends,
6
I used to
p.m.,
go by
7
there
p.m.
and it was packed for all the age appropriate children,
So
So I don't want to close it for them,
no,
What
I would
happens when
agree.
Middle school lets out. The
Yeah.
younger kids are still in school.
Right.
So there are really not many
Right, exactly.
parents that are, unless they're maybe preschool age,
Yeah.
but for the most part, that's not who's there after school. It's all middle school kids.
Right. So like what Mr. Reed said, it's very, that's a very good point, and and then maybe we can get some kind of a camera system up there I know there's some cameras up there now, but they're from the Civic Center, so you can't really get a good, if we can get something closer, that would probably help so we can, if something does happen, does get, get broken a weekend or after hours, we can try to identify somebody, and then go through the proper channels.
Does it make sense to look into a taller fence?
Absolutely.
I mean, it seems to
I
me,
can get prices, I can see,
I
I know
hate
the
to spend more
pricing.
money, but
I know.
listen, we have a big investment there, and if it takes a little more money to make it, yeah.
I agree with the taller fence. Shutting it down from 1 to 3 runs into a lot of other issues. One being, again, because like you said, there's nobody there to monitor it to begin with. So if there's nobody there to monitor it and they're still jumping over the fence, if it stays at the height it's at, then we're still stuck in a situation.
I mean, I was sitting there
Right.
with the town car, they were watching me.
And they still did it.
So,
So
like,
I caught one midair.
Yeah.
I mean, they were watching me, they're still hopping the fence, like, is he gonna get out of that car and say something? It's like a game, you know what I mean?
Right. And that's exactly what it is for them again. That's why it has to come down to prosecution. And unfortunately, that's what the thing that's going to really open their minds. But, then we have to get into signage because you can't just lock them up. If gate's locked, you should have known you shouldn't have been in there type of a thing. Because it's not a building type of, so he's got to have signage, you got to have
Like
warnings.
anything we
you have
do
to-
is gonna go through the public channels, it's gonna, like either Facebook or the town website. There has to be where it's out there. I don't want them just to go there and see one sign,
Is there a problem?
we gotta get
Tim,
it out there.
Putting age appropriate signs up there, is that
Yeah.
run into,
You're gonna
a
get,
discrimination?
Yeah,
you're gonna get the
yeah.
ACLU down here in 3 seconds,
Yeah.
because it's very difficult to limit use by age.
I kind of figured as much, yeah,
And
so
by the way-
that's out of the question.
By the way, as Mark can tell you, as a police officer, every day is a new day. So just because you may have done something yesterday, walking through the same place, does not mean you're gonna do it again. that does not allow a police officer to take you and say, well, because you committed the crime yesterday, I think you're gonna commit a crime today.
Mhm.
And then, you know, your juvenile hearing board and the family court will be overrun with these types of things.
Yep.
And I mean, that's just the way it is.
Right. It is a tough situation, but you know, like some of the parents that go there with their little kids and they hear their kids, you know, swearing, you ask them to stop and they don't, that's disorderly conduct, you know, but they have to put their name to a piece of paper and that's what most people, they want to back off at that point. I'll just take them someplace else and forget about it. And that's what's, all right. And that's,
But I still think cameras in that direction, because vandalism, that's something where the family should have to, I mean, the town shouldn't be on the hook
I
to
agree.
pay this.
I agree.
And so, I mean, if we can, and I don't, we had talked about it, Dave, would a camera at the Civic Center reach there or?
So
Too far
discussion
away.
we've had, and I know Mark has talked about repaving the parking lot or whatever. And if we can get a conduit less than 300 feet from the Civic Center to where the server is, you can put the camera on that pole at that time or whatever. So there's locations up there that we looked at. But there's, you know, power over Ethernet goes 100 meters, which is 328 feet. So you're pushing the limits at that. So, you know, you can get it there, but you know, if we do the parking lot over, if we put the conduit in, we can do it at that point. But, you know, there's other aspects, other ways of doing it.
I was thinking at least that's
So-
something to
then
look at.
then
as
you're gonna
far
make
as-
sure the camera's high enough to where they can't destroy it.
Oh, yeah,
it's
we can
like
get
all kinds of
28
stuff
feet up.
like that.
Yeah,
that's
because
no
I think
problem.
that's something to look to as far, especially for the vandalism, that if somebody does something, they should be held accountable.
So
I
if
mean,
you
not
guys,
that, some of the other things are, some of the behavior, of course, the fighting and the swearing is an issue too, but holding them accountable for ruining, you know, a piece of property.
I had a kid, I said right out, I said, listen, stop swearing. And he threw out the F word and said, I'm not swearing. I said, you just swore at me. And he didn't even know he was swearing. It's just part of their,
so maybe if you guys can look at a fence,
Yeah.
look at cameras and
Get,
start the process to see
get
what we
some-
can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get some prices on some fencing. I'll call Verizon to get some cameras.
If there's any businesses out there that want to donate a fence and put their sign up,
Yeah,
hey, Jeff, did you
want to be Actually- I,
Tom out 6 Colonial Lake. I might be all wet. Glad I'm on the other side of the hill now, but I'm just appalled at this, shocked. Is there a possible way that maybe reasoning with these over testosterone kids, because I'm sure it's probably the guys, and just to reason with them personally?
You might be
Looking at the
surprised.
pictures now, it's
Yeah.
both.
Oh, really?
You might be
Very
surprised.
surprised.
you
Yeah.
would be surprised.
I'm, like I said, I'm glad I'm on the other side, regardless of the sex. Is there a way that we could throw the chief under the bus maybe, and he could go to the high school with an extremely strongly worded public announcement? Look, you little SOBs, this stuff continues and you're gonna get arrested and your parents are gonna get dragged to court and
I know the school did make a, superintendent had made an announcement. I know that the middle school specifically made the announcement. This is going back probably last school year when some of the issues had started. And I mean, like what Dave said, even when you right to their face and they're still
I mean,
pushing the limits when you're right
The
there.
the schools, and I think the colonel would agree, are great partners and work with us on
Oh,
all sorts
yes.
of issues. And I'm sure they'd be willing to do that. We're not going to solve this here tonight.
No.
So to have the rec committee and Jeff and Freddie work in conjunction with the superintendent's office and the town manager and the police chief, I think we'll come up with some sort of good plan.
And as far as cameras go, David, I think you would be aware in your business that you could put a camera on this roof and you could tell the kids got 5 o'clock shadow up in that playground.
very hard.
Pan tilt cameras by Pelco. You don't think even on the Civic Center, on the roof of the Civic Center, looking down there?
Well, again, we
Well,
can debate that all.
yeah.
Yes.
But anyway,
I
it's
can tell you- I can
appalling.
tell you
Yes.
A camera that's affordable. You're talking.
Okay, now, okay, but they're there. Well, hire a bunch of nuns. They're all retired. Hire some nuns out there. They'll straighten them out. Thank you.
With rulers, right? Yeah.
Ruler days are going
Yeah.
too, unfortunately.
Okay, request from the police chief for purchase of utility cargo trailer.
Have a-
It's not a resolution.
Yeah, it's not a resolution.
Is
It
it?
was a memo, so you just need to make a motion. If you
Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Second. Sorry, you made it.
Is this trailer to hold the kids from there to here?
I don't know if I can put any kids in any trailers, Mr. Gosler. Good evening, Ernest Levine, the police chief of Westwork. As part of the Westwork Police Department's 10-year capital improvement program pertaining to the police vehicle fleet, I am respectfully asking that the town council consider approving the purchase of a utility cargo trailer to be utilized by the SWAT team, BCI Detective Division, and the Accident Reconstruction Team. This trailer would be purchased from Ocean State Truck and Trailer of West Warwick, Rhode Island, as they were the only bidder for RFP 2022-05 entitled Police Department SWAT BCI trailer. I am proposing that the cost of this trailer from the request be funded by utilization of the federal drug forfeiture account in the total amount of $16,560.84.
Any questions for chief? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration of proposed fiscal year 2023 budget timeline.
Move approval of the timeline.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Again, this is the timeline. If we need to make changes or, if there's anything that,
Right.
sometimes we need more meetings, sometimes less,
Did
depending.
they
on-
do this back then? Because this, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I don't remember it at
Kristen,
all.
Kristen put it together. She feels that, Mark, I think you've had some conversations with Kristen. She feels that it's doable.
Yep, this follows our traditional
Right.
timeline. It covers everything, including the third workshops and meeting dates, which typically we don't need. Hopefully, we'll continue to not need them. The only item that we had talked about was those third potential meetings start to encroach on school vacation time. But again, if we have that much going on and that much to consider, then we'll do what we need to do.
Any other questions on that?
No, so the schools will be here on January 4th based on this timeline, and have they been notified as such?
Yes, Kristen notified them of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from National Grid for installation of solely owned National Grid pole 1-2 in order to replace OH service to 10 Schofield Street and resolve aerial trespass and voltage complaints.
Move the approval of the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? It's pretty basic.
And Joe went out and looked at it and signed
Yeah.
off on it.
And you basically can't supposedly, you can't run utility lines over somebody else's property line also, so. So that's why they have to put this new pole in. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from the town of Coventry for support of resolution requesting funding for RIDEM environmental study.
So this is just a discussion item as far as I'm concerned at this point in time. I received a call from Hillary Lima, maiden name Costa, actually West Warwick, went to high school, graduated from West Warwick High School. They were asking, or she was suggesting, and there is a copy of Coventry's resolution attached about, going to the State House and asking for funding for a study to be done about the effects of the raising and lowering of the water levels at Johnson's Pond. And I told her that we probably wouldn't have an appetite to go to the State House for that would be something that I don't know that I would want to go to the State House for. I asked her what kind of fee they were talking about. She indicated that they also went to the city of Cranston and the city of Warwick. DEM evidently said that they need to do a baseline study so they can see what the impact is. That the concern is that there is impact on the Patuxent River, which obviously would concern us, our fishing piers and whatever else. She indicated to me that DEM had said that they thought it would be about a $10,000 bill. And I told her that I would discuss it here. Again, I am not in favor of going to the State House for this. I also said that I thought, and Mark, I'm probably going to pass it to you. I thought that potentially that American Rescue Fund, because clean water and is sort of involved or it can be used for that. Again, if we were to pick up 1/4 of $10,000, we're talking about $2,500. And if we had access to a study about the impact on the Patuxent Valley,
Yeah, 'cause I think-
it's small dollars.
And I think-
So.
And I've done a little research on on this in Coventry. My aunt has a house on the pond. And the way those water levels come up and down, it definitely could have an impact. And we saw what happened in 2010 with the floods. And then when that then led, so I mean, again, I'm not an expert, but if you had a study done just to see if we could have an issue down here. I mean, obviously Warwick and Cranston are affected as well as where Patuxent River goes down, but.
So it's one of those things that, again, they were reaching out to us. I told them that I wasn't so sure that I personally would have an appetite to ask for anything at the State House, to be honest with you. I'm not sure it would rise to that level.
Isn't Johnson's Pond privately owned?
That's the issue.
So that's
It's
the
It's a
issue.
long story, but yes.
So they have the ability to open and close the dam, and it's impacting. So the town of Coventry wants to see what the impact is on the Patuxent
But
River.
they've been doing that for years. Now there's a new owner and now it's an issue.
Well, it's
They like to keep it lower than normal.
Okay.
They
but
keep-
That's
no,
not,
it's,
They like to,
But
he'd like
again-
to make some money off the home.
But again,
the
that's,
residents.
and I actually explained to
it's a long
Hillary.
story, but essentially they're playing around with the water levels, bringing them up and down more than the Quidnick Reservoir Company who owned it.
I know, but this has already been going to court. I mean,
It's
why,
still, no,
why,
it's still going to
So I
court.
don't
why are
want
we
to.
gonna get involved with something?
No,
that-
no, no.
So
No,
that's
we're not getting
exactly
involved
what I
in,
said.
we're
We
not
don't
getting
wanna-
involved in that end, but I think what they're asking us is to see if the playing around with the water levels is affecting the Patuxent River and
They are
potentially causing a
asking-
flooding issue for downstream.
They
They
are,
do the same thing with Tioga Lake also.
so they're asking us, again, I explained that we did not want to get it. We had enough issues here in West Warwick. We were
Yeah,
not
I'd
going to
want-
get
of
into
course.
any Coventry. We're not going to do that. They were asking us if we had an appetite to participate financially to provide money to DEM to do a study. So I said I would bring it here, and that's what I'm doing. So I don't even know that we need to vote on that tonight. I'm
What do you think,
fulfilling
Solicitor?
my,
You want my opinion as a solicitor or as a former state representative? No,
You-
no, this is.
This
you're
is
right,
not a-
It's private. It's already been to court. If in fact there was an issue that DEM was concerned with regarding the raising and lowering of the water in the Patuxent River, they've already would have investigated it. You already would have had your answer.
well, so what I asked for was something from DEM, and I have not received that. So
Well,
if DEM really had an issue and I have not seen that.
I'm sure Senator Raptakis, who has been up there the longest,
Yes.
would be able to get some type of grant from the Senate through the JCLS
They
to
wouldn't
address
need-
this.
They wouldn't need anything.
Right, no.
Okay.
And DEM's budget is millions upon millions. But again, the issue as to whether or not it would have any effect on the Patuxent River, I think DEM would already have that information.
Yeah, they've
Well-
been doing it for a long time. It's like-
And I agree, again, so I saw it on the agenda. I talked to Sarah actually to find out, because I wouldn't have necessarily put it on the agenda. I certainly didn't want it as a resolution. I don't believe we should get involved at the State House. Again, I did say that I would bring it here to talk about the potential for helping fund a study if indeed money was needed to do it. I don't think we need an answer. I don't have a number, so I just wanted to put it out there and let people know if it comes back officially, it comes back officially. If it doesn't, I've broached the subject with all of you.
Thank you. We'll take no action tonight. This one's gonna be a long one.
Okay. Action for the administration of the pension plans for the police and fire, non-police, and fire employees when the Westwork Pension Board cannot exercise its power and authority under the Home Rule Charter and Westwork ordinances.
Mark?
Again, I believe this was put on the agenda just because of several different layers of frustration for a variety of reasons. That the pension board hasn't been able to get a quorum on a consistent basis in order to address their agenda needs. Obviously, it's trickled down to affecting individual employees that have had to wait inordinate amounts of time to get approvals to actual get checks, and that's just not fair after providing the required services. So we've just had a lot of discussions, reaching out to various board members, internal discussions, trying to come up with some type of solution to help facilitate getting, at the very least, the administrative task done. So this is just part of that discussion to try to brainstorm, to come up with some ideas to help move forward. Obviously, eventually, we're going to transition into MERS. I don't anticipate that happening until sometime this summer, best case scenario. But in the meantime, we still need to provide services to our employees that are retiring, the ones that are in limbo, and the ones that are already retired.
So what are our options is the question. And, you know, we talked about it last time, you know, maybe having you and HR involved in that process. So, and again, no fault of, you know, certain members of the pension board, they try their hardest to be there and have these quorums. But, you know, we have employees now waiting on 4, 5, 6 months to get a pension check. You know, after putting in 27, 28, 29 years, you know, we're postponing. And then you have, you know, we have some disability pensions, we have some other pensions that are sitting out there waiting. And again, they come to the meeting and only to get said, oh, we don't have a quorum, and get sent on their way. And then usually some of us will get that nasty text or whatever it may be.
Right.
And rightfully so. I don't blame them. I mean, we're not operating right as a town right now when it comes to the pension board. And it's very hard to fill these positions. Mary Beth has tried to recruit people. I've tried to recruit people. You know, we had a resignation earlier. I think for the last 3 months or 4 months, the individual has talked about resigning, and I begged and pleaded, you know, please don't do it. You know, it finally got to head. I can't argue with them anymore. I can't
So the
say
most
don't do
recent
it.
suggestion that came up within the last week and a half or so was both pension plans allow for a provision for agents to be appointed to handle some administrative tasks. To me, I guess it's debatable on how you define administrative task. If you look at administrative task as like the final approval of pension, so some employees could start getting their payouts. If you define that as an administrative task, that might be helpful to have other people be able to do that with certain levels of checks and balances, whether it's HR, myself, the finance director, at some level to help alleviate those so they're done on a more timely basis if the pension board's not able to do it. The other consideration is, you know, do you have the authority to, obviously you could appoint people to the pension board, and I'm not sure if there are any other charter provisions that would require it, but obviously the HR director and I are both electors of the town. I suppose could serve, not that I want to apply to it because my desk is full as it is. But I don't want to, if there's something that we can do to help the cause to get us through,
Right.
both Sherry and I are willing to do it.
So I actually asked that this be put on the agenda. It was, I asked that it be put on the agenda. I talked to the solicitor and the town manager for the last pension board meeting. I have actually also spoken with the chair of the pension board, and he does work tirelessly. There's no doubt about that. And there are other members. It's just, we can't get people to serve on this board. So something isn't working the way it's supposed to be working. And I understand what the charter says, but at this point, it's unacceptable to have people wait 4, 5, and 6 months. And quite honestly, we're going to wind up in lawsuits that we don't need or want to be in. I envision that the way a pension, someone would apply for a pension, the numbers would be given to an actuary. The actuary would determine what the pension benefits would be, what the provisions of the pension would be. It would then go back to the employee that applied for the pension. They, I would hope, would have some financial and or legal representation. They would say, yes, we agree, these are the numbers. And I believe that's the process that's happening, and then it sits on the agenda. In my mind, that is administrative. If everybody, and again, I can't speak legally, I'm not an attorney, so, but I do know that we can't, as a town council, allow it to continue. Something has to be done. I did talk to Mark and Sherry and mentioned that, you know, I do know they both live in town. I don't know if that's a possibility. I'm willing to, if I have to. I don't know if that, as a council member, if that's an issue. We can't even get the pension board to meet, and the provision in the pension plan is 10.09, which is a power to delegate. The pension board may, by a majority vote and approval of the town council, appoint agents to act on their behalf and to sign forms of a purely administrative nature. We can't even get a quorum for them to vote on that. So but we can't also have people continue to wait. So I
agree with Mary Beth, and I know we've all agree on that they shouldn't be waiting. Have we reached out to other communities that have switched to MERS and see if they ran into any kind of situation like this and how they handled it?
This has nothing to do.
Yeah.
The solicitors
been
that I've
going on.
spoken to, they've never heard of not being able to fill a roster of appointed people for a pension board. They've never heard of it.
And this again.
I know it's not MERS. I know it has nothing to do with
No,
MERS.
but I
just
mean,
saying-
I think maybe what you're saying is people figure, why am I going to bother? Because it's
Right.
going to MERS. This has been going on since as long as I've been on the council.
Okay.
I mean, so that's for the last 3 years. It's been going on a
It
regular
was a
basis.
tough time when we were getting people up here, employees, whoever it may be. It was very hostile at times from the crowd to the boards. So people resigned to say, why am I going to do this? And Al came in at a hostile time, and he sat up here numerous times, you know, being yelled at. I've sat in the crowd where they said they don't want an attorney, and then they want Timmy as the attorney. This is the public speaking, and I'm like,
Never heard that.
and I said, wait a minute, if we, and Krista's back there, their attorney, and I said, they didn't want her, and I'm like, well, I could tell you now, if we put Timmy in there, the same group's gonna be mad that he's in there. So I said, so I don't know where you guys are going, but it got very hostile. People left, employees who were very strong-hearted about the pension left because, and then people are sitting here saying, why would I want to come in here to get yelled at, berated, screamed at, called names, called a criminal, Channel 10 investigations and whatever else. So all that said, it was very hard to fill people.
Mhm.
And then now that we have people, they're individuals that just don't show up numerous times, but they know the rules 2 times. They show up a third. They come out 2 times, show up a third, or they just play the game. And Al shared that. Al and I and Mary Beth has met here 2-3 hours at a time sometimes. And I feel for him. Because I sense his frustration as the chairman, and he does. He works endlessly. He's here some nights till 11 o'clock at night, working on things, trying to get things done with Tracy. And, you just don't get the same commitment on everybody else. Adam Satchel wanted to be that person too, but he saw what was going on around him. And he's like, I don't want my name associated with this because, when you have employees now coming up to you and giving you hell, I get that. As soon as the night that he showed up, he had 3 things on the agenda that he wanted to, and he emailed us and then called me directly and said, no meeting. And I also got 2 text messages. So it was like, why, this hurts. So we got to figure out a way. And I think personally, if you got everybody else doing the paperwork for you and all the i's are dotted, the t's are crossed. Why can't the town manager and the HR director just sign off on it temporarily until we can get a quorum, or until we get into MERS? I mean, I don't see, and I don't know what extra task that is. And actually, I don't even see why Al and their attorney can't be involved in that decision making if they don't have a quorum. I mean, why couldn't that be, and Tracy, as the clerk? I mean, there's 5 of you there that can make that determination. And, unfortunately, it's not voted on in public, but, I don't know what the legal
So-
ramifications
I
are.
can't speak for the pension
I don't think,
board's beliefs or reasoning.
and I don't think
I
anybody.
agree, and I
who's-
think we're willing to do it to help.
And I don't think anybody who's part of the pension is going to disagree with that, because it could affect them eventually. It's just, I mean,
So we have a system in place, it's been in place for years, that clearly doesn't work. MERS will help take care of that, but we have 6 months to go, and we have someone who's waited since July.
Which is unheard of.
It's unacceptable. So what are our options? Again, I did ask for it to be put on the agenda. I'm willing to do whatever we need to do to get, and I know, Tim, you've had some conversations with the pension
Krista,
board
yes.
attorney.
Yep.
I mean, can the town council approve them?
I want to have Krista come up and speak, because we've been talking about this going on the past month. First and foremost, the charter is going to rule supreme in this matter, because there's no state law that is for Westwork as it relates to pensions. So you get the charter, you have ordinances, and the resolutions really don't come into play, but you do have collective bargaining agreements. So first and foremost, because the way the charter was put together back in 1986 was to take the elected officials out of the mix as related to pensions. So the pension board then, now the pension commission has been in place since then. Now, it never was really an issue, probably because of the way the salaries were coming out of the 60s and 70s. So in 1986, you weren't really talking about people getting really big pensions. But as it grew, and the pensions grew, and the benefits grew, and OPEB grew, it got to be more of an administrative issue. So the way it used to be handled was the town council would act as the pension board, and they would basically divvy up the pensions, and it would go through the finance director, who back then was the town treasurer. So with the charter, in comes, the transparency of the autonomous body that gets appointed by the town council, and then the town council takes a step back and it's not supposed to interfere. So as part of the charter, powers 407 of the town council: inquire into any department, office, board, commission, or other agency excluding the school department, but not interfere with their normal administrative functions. So take that into consideration. However, under 104, town-appointed boards, commissions, committees, and authorities, subsection B, any official appointed by the town council to any board, commission, committee, or authority shall be removed from office by the town council if said official fails to attend scheduled meetings for a period of 3 consecutive meetings without the express written leave of the chairperson of such body. So even if they've got a legitimate excuse, if they don't get leave from the chairman, the 3 meetings go by very quickly. So now, taking that into consideration, if you cannot have a quorum, as Mary Beth indicated, you don't get to even talk about how to interpret power to delegate. So you have to have a quorum first. So your options right now are basically, because my understanding is with Adam's resignation, there are only 4 members left.
There's 3 vacancies.
There are 3
now.
vacancies right now, which means it's still, it's a group of 7. You still need 4. So you'd have to have all 4 of those members attend every meeting moving forward. That's probably not going to happen. I know Al tried to get a meeting for either tonight or tomorrow, no quorum.
When was Adams, is his last day coming up? or-
Adam's resignation
Happened.
was last week.
The 16th.
So now you can, again, because we can interpret an emergency part of this to get those positions filled, to fill the roster. However, if each member of the council went and handpicked somebody, as long as they're an inhabitant of the town, they can serve. And as long as there's no more than 4 members of one political party, they can serve. If you can't get anybody to serve and you cannot get a quorum, there's no meeting, you're not even at, trying to figure out what this means. So hold off just for a second. I want to go a little sideways. If in fact there is a quorum and the pension board can delve into this power to delegate, under just the normal definitions, a public agent is any agent of the public, the state of the government, a person appointed to act for the public in some matter pertaining to the administration of government or for public business, which is great. Administrative acts, those acts which are necessary to be done to carry out legislative policies, which this is, and purposes already declared by the legislative body, you, or such as devolved upon it by the organic law of its existence, which would be the collective bargaining agreements and these ordinances. So the pension board may, by a majority vote and approval of the council, appoint agents to act on their behalf and to sign forms. The only problem is if there's ever pushback as it relates to how the newly formed pension board is made up, because if it's not made up of individuals the way the charter has put it together, there could be problems. This language of appoint agents to act on their behalf and to sign forms would clearly mean not you guys. You cannot do a roundabout way of getting on this board. You could not appoint Kristen Benoit because she does not live in town, but you could appoint those people who are inhabitants. However, when you get to Article 12, amendment or termination, 12.01, although the plan is intended to continue indefinitely for the exclusive benefit of members covered by the plan and their beneficiaries, the town reserves the right at any time to terminate this plan and or to modify and amend this plan and agreement in any respect whatsoever, whether prospectively or retroactively, provided, however, that, except for such changes, if any, as in the judgment of the town council. So it's more town council acting on the amendment or termination of this particular plan. And then when you go to the beginning, it clearly indicates the pension board shall from time to time establish rules and regulations for the administration of the plan. That also is in the charter. I don't think they have any bylaws or rules or regulations. Going down to interpretation by board. The board shall have the full power to determine the meaning of any provision of this plan and to determine the applications of the provisions of this plan to any particular situation, which leads us right back to power to delegate. If you don't have the quorum, you're not going to be able to meet to get to that. So let's say you can't get a quorum. What are we going to do? Well, the next issue would be is because of the health, safety, and welfare aspect of this, i.e. welfare, gentleman retires in May, puts his paperwork in, is expected to get his pension July. Now it's September, October, November, nothing. He's got nothing coming in. That's breach of contract. So under the statutes, if the town has exhausted its administrative remedies by attempting to fill the quorum to have a meeting, and that can't be done, and you can't have that roster of 7, so you can have at least a quorum of 4, and all reasonable efforts have failed, there are 2 options. One, the town, instead of waiting for plaintiffs to bring litigation, would go to the Superior Court, and under Rhode Island Superior Court Rule 53, seek the appointment of a special master and also file an action under the Uniform Declaratory Judgments Act, because the contract issue is here. And if the people that are expecting to get the benefit of their contract cannot get that benefit, they certainly have a right to go to court to declare what their rights are. A special master would be appointed. The special master would then take over for the pension board. This has never been done in this state.
Yeah.
So there'll be some similarities to what occurred in Central Falls, but I don't think the town wants to go that route.
No.
However, if the town doesn't go that route and the administration of the plan cannot be done, you can expect lawsuits from individual plaintiffs. There'll be a writ of mandamus, there'll be a breach of contract complaint, there'll be an emergency ex parte motion. There are going to be claims of violating the collective bargaining agreement, labor issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and they're going to be right. And the town's going to be responsible for paying the expenses and the cost making these plaintiffs litigate the matter. So the best thing I can advise is to get on the phone tonight, contact every person you can that's in each one of your wards, make sure you know their political affiliation and say, we need you to come into work for 6 months. And then,
So,
you know,
we've done some of that. So
you know.
why can't we say Mark Knott? Why can't we say Sherry Fournier?
you can, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, but for the technical aspects of filing the application to be on the plan, there's nothing in the charter that would prohibit a department head and or town manager and or anyone else
Right.
from sitting on that
And they
pension.
have.
board.
Except for us.
They-
Except
they
for you
have,
guys, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, they
Right.
So
have.
Mark and Sherry, can you guys pass the background check?
But the
So-
point is, if you can fill it,
I don't,
you get your 4, you don't have to worry about any of this, you have your quorum.
I don't remember, does it have to be members of a party or can they be unaffiliated?
Oh, no.
They
As
can be
long as there's
unaffiliated.
no, it is, as long as with a board of 7, you cannot have any more than 4 of one party. You can have all independents if you want. It doesn't make a difference,
wanted
but
to
you
make
just
sure.
can't
Yeah.
have more than 4 of
I
one
know there's
party.
certain things you have to have
Right.
party affiliation.
Yeah,
anyway. I
but
can't
that's
remember
more
if that was
zoning
one.
and planning, but on this particular issue, only, you can't have more than 4 of any particular party. But I don't think that's I mean, this is not a political football that any of the political parties would be using. It's, you got to get it done, which means under any argument of an an emergency basis because of what is coming down the road, you guys would have the right to fill those positions. Because right now, as of tonight, Madam Clerk, there are 3 vacancies, right?
That is correct.
All right, so I would just say that if you got 3 people in mind,
So-
Mr. Knott,
So are there
Sherry.
really 3? Doesn't the charter say it's a 5-member board?
it was amended 7 now.
Okay, so the one
I believe it was amended,
Amend it back to 5.
well, you can't, wait a minute,
In 2016, it was amended to a 7-member board
Okay.
by special election.
right, you
Okay.
can't amend it only if you change the charter, so you can't amend it by ordinance. But your emergency powers, whatever they may be, because of this issue, I don't think anyone's going to stand in the way of making these appointments as long as they fill out the application.
You have an application?
I have a few.
Oh, come on up.
We can make those
I know
available.
you want to say something.
Now, one thing you have to understand, just because you put these 2 on and Al's always there, that's 3. Nate Hannon,
Well,
Michelle,
the reason why I was asking about the party affiliation is because I have somebody and he actually just did his background check recently. So he might be able to do it and he's unaffiliated. That's why I
I
was
couldn't
asking
even
for
tell you
that.
what
So-
everybody's political affiliation is.
Is that?
Get them to apply.
But I mean, what I'm trying to get at is Al always comes, Mark always goes, Cherry will always go. There's 3. You still have to get the 4th, and the 4th is
Tell
Nate.
Adam to stick around a
So,
little
so
longer.
Nate Hannon evidently had an issue. There was an email issue. So again, I think we need to change the process. And I talked to Al about this too, and he said that they used to call.
I would think we need the colonel from the Westwork Police Department to go pick these guys up. tonight.
Maybe so.
Surprise, Merry Christmas.
Then you,
Yeah,
Exactly.
maybe so.
Exactly.
So it
And by the way, we're
was,
taking your liquor
Pick him up in
license.
that new utility cargo
We're
trailer.
taking your liquor license and come on, you're on the pension.
so Nate, yeah. So Nate is,
No, that's okay.
he's on board. He didn't get notification. So
Without,
that's, yeah,
without commenting on that, all I'm trying to say is if you
Right,
can,
I
if
get
you
it.
can load the roster, do it.
absolutely, that's absolutely.
if we end up with 6 here, that's even better.
But other than that, there's really, and I'm sure Krista's going to want to speak on some of the items that I talked about, but there's really no,
But I agree with you.
there's no plan
But the
from,
easiest way to do it is to, and again, that's why we're fortunate to have people that are willing to step up for the short term that they have to step up. They do live here in town. I would take advantage of that.
Al? Just state your name and address for the record.
Ella Hurrell, 21 Deborah Court. First of all, the issue with Nate and his email program and not getting the emails and going to spam, whatever, I think has been corrected. Because I sent him an email out the other day and he replied back to me and said yes. So he did receive my message. As of this afternoon, I have 4 written affirmatives for our next meeting in January 12th. So unless we get a tidal wave or a hurricane or something, that meeting is going to go on. Next, I have information that came this afternoon too, that we're gonna lose another member. That was January meetings, January meeting's gonna be the last meeting for that individual, and that's James.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Atchison's last meeting is going to be January.
James Atchison's last meeting.
Yeah, he is moving, so he will no longer be in the town, so he won't be on the board. So January's meeting is gonna be his last meeting, so we're gonna be down to 3 people.
So if we can get applications for January 4th.
I would actually
You wanna
recommend that
get
we
'em-
do it now
wanna get
and
'em
we get it
tomorrow.
done.
No, but for the January 4th meeting.
Yeah, so we approve them on January 4th.
Yes.
I,
You could have but this
Why can't we-
theoretically,
can
it's
we-
not an emergency as far as what's going on because it has been dragging for a while. But I think you could get around the Open Meetings Act on the emergency for the appointment. You could probably get that done.
You know,
On a
if we
special
get,
town
if we get
council
3
meeting.
applications, I want to meet over 1 application, but if we get 3, we can have a meeting.
I was gonna say you might want to get 4 because you got 3 openings right now, counting Brandon. Atchison makes that 4. If you happen to replace them with, because nobody knows if they're gonna vote for you. With Mark not. That's, imagine that, 1 to 4. Well, you see, the problem is you can't expand it to 9 without a charter amendment, but if you can get to
That's fine.
7, then, hopefully at least 5 would show up.
is there any way is there any way
I don't
to
know.
expedite and move that January 12th closer? And again, that's a whole nother month that somebody's gonna wait to get their money.
No,
I tried to do that when we didn't get a quorum in the last one.
But
Tracy and I do
maybe
this
if
all
we,
the time, and we tried to do it the following week. So we stay in the guidelines for the Secretary of State's
Open meeting.
requirements. And we didn't get any answers again. I spoke to you on the phone and that.
yep,
So we keep trying. Not that we don't
there's
try.
no doubt.
Have we
So
had
to
members
now
that,
try and do another one, we were gonna try and do like maybe next week or this week. But with the holidays, we're basically
so
told.
you
you're
said
not
you
gonna
have
get
had
people.
members that have not showed up, considered 3 meetings in a row?
I've sat with these 2 here till 11 o'clock one night. I put all the information out on the table.
It's hard to remove somebody when everybody else is leaving, so
Doesn't make it sense.
it's not making, at least
It's my-
maybe if they show
No,
up.
but at least if we don't count, I mean, if they're not showing up, then we might as well not even count on them and, I mean,
Well,
But the
almost
point is, if
exactly
they
what
don't
I,
show up, you should get rid of them.
I'm-
and then
I'm
fill it
agreeing.
in.
That's what I'm saying.
But we're not getting anybody to
It's
fill
not,
in.
but it's
I know,
also,
that's
it's
why-
also not 3 in a row typically.
That's why you gotta work.
Right, but right now we have 4 openings. If we can fill those 4, plus
Absolutely.
Al, then we have 5 and then we're good. And if anything else comes along for the last 5 months, we can try and
Again,
fill those as well.
that's what
So,
I'm,
yeah.
the only thing that you can do when you go out and talk to these people is they need to sit for 5 meetings.
yeah,
They don't have to know anything. We can explain it to them and they can make a decision.
I don't think you want to say
I
that.
don't want to say that, but yes.
We know what you mean, but.
Yes.
It's a learning curve. We
What I'm
understand
saying
that.
is I'm not a CPA or anything like that, so I don't expect anybody else to be.
the-
Maybe
the-
we will bring them up to speed, like I was brought up to speed. So maybe I said it wrong. So,
No,
but we only got 5 meetings to do after January's meeting. So anyway, that's that.
that's what,
All you're saying is it's like us. We didn't have any training to sit here. We just came and we learned as we went. That's basically what
I
you said.
learned some every
Experts.
day.
experts
my
will do.
teacher.
Yeah, so experts will do the work. The attorneys, the actuaries do the work, do the calculations, come up with the information, present it, and it
And
has
then
to be
we
voted.
tear
And
it
what's
apart.
happening is it's
Yeah.
not getting to the point where it can be voted on.
I wish there was a way, because Tracy and I have sat down before John over there and have got his stuff done. There was a lot of loopholes, a lot of problems. We set up at night upstairs
Yeah,
and talked to the people there in that company at home, at their own house. They're not working. And we solved all the problems and made all the notes. And when she goes to work the next day, she can get it. We've done, everybody's bent over backwards. He would have had his money. It's just,
again, we understand that it does no good to sit here and try to blame or cast aspersions. It is, we need to get it done. We need to change. That's one of the benefits of going to MERS. The treasurer's office has 41 professionals that work on this on a regular basis. So
there was a way that Tracy and I and our solicitor could sit and do the stuff. We would do it, but we're not allowed to do that.
right. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
No, and again, when it comes to money, pensions, paychecks, pay raises, whatever else, it's messing with the employees' lives. And of course they're gonna get frustrated, it's.
Rightfully so.
They have plans, they have goals, they did whatever, and it's very difficult. And Al, I know you've been here until 11 o'clock and I've been here talking to you a couple of times, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, go home. But, it's no fault of you, and please don't,
It's not, and Al and I had a long conversation yesterday, and I wanted to make that clear because I wanted to let him know this item was on the agenda and what it was about and why we need to do it. And he was in full agreement. He understood that. So I think this is a great solution. Can you go
it's
Can you
whatever
go
we can
print,
do to help
can you go
you.
print applications now? Yes.
Sure.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Krista Schmitz, Olin and Penza, counsel for the Pension Board. I've just appeared tonight at the request of the chair of the board to answer any questions. I certainly think you've gotten a lot of the information from your solicitor. There are pension board rules and regulations.
They are. I do know that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
No, I just figured I would throw it out there. I don't believe, and I certainly haven't looked at them, immediately, but I don't believe they address
I don't think they do either.
anything that we've talked about tonight, regardless. But obviously, I have to say that I defer to your solicitor for your legal advice. But as far as, appointment to members of the board, certainly the cleanest way is to follow the charter, get the vacancies filled, get the quorum for the board, and be able to work that way. Any deviation from that, and I know Attorney Williamson just brought that up, it just calls into question an issue. If there is anything that's called that there was a chance there wasn't a proper quorum under the charter, the effect of that would be to nullify anything the board did during that time period. And the ramifications of that could just be detrimental to anyone who had their pensions approved during that time period, especially if it comes to light after the MERS transfer. Now you're trying to basically rewind time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, without addressing the pension plan and whether or not Article 10 has any provision, if an agent is a way to do it, I'm not sure that it does. I'm skeptical about the ability to use Article 10, but I'm getting a sensation that there may be applicants that are out there. And if these vacancies can be filled, I certainly think that that's, the easiest solution here. If we can get people to be in these seats and have the quorum for the next 6 months, and be able to get the board going. So if there's any assistance I can provide or any questions I can answer, I'm happy to.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Al.
John, I know this affects you, so I'll let you.
Well, I'm just John Patello, 9 Davis Street, the longest waiting pensioner in Westwork history, coming up on 6 months.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. First of all, my apologies for my frustrating emails you've received, and David, your text messages. So that's not my character.
Nope.
I just ask that once these people are set in place, if Mark, Sherry, whoever else steps to the plate, that there's checks and balances when these applications are submitted by pensioners, because mine got lost. And that was a direct quote from the chairman when I spoke to him, that it got lost in translation. NIHOT lost it or misplaced it. There was no checks and balances. I submitted my paperwork on May 12th of this year, retired on July 9th, didn't get my numbers back until November 20th. I approved them literally 3 days later and still waiting. So I asked that there's be some type of checks and balances going forward, because there wasn't. And I do realize, NIHOT, I understand the pandemic, but it was getting frustrating. And that's where my frustration came in. So I asked that you see some type of checks and balances going forward, because there wasn't any until I started knocking on the door and I started texting the town manager. And I have to say, very responsive. Mark was always responsive to my text messages or emails, or phone calls. So I just asked that. So we'll see what goes forward going for the next meeting. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
I want to thank you for your email, because I know many people in your shoes would not have been as nice as you were.
Well,
in your email. So
I've spoken to an attorney and I really don't have a legal avenue as of yet. So there's no place else where to go but to just send frustrating emails.
And to make it clear, John has shared with me, he doesn't want to go down the legal avenue because he knows where the money comes from and he don't want to affect the town.
I was here for 30 years. I don't want to hurt the town. I still live here.
He has gonna say, he understands and, I understand his frustration. It's just, I told him it might not be resolved tonight, but hopefully we can get it resolved very quickly so
I
he
think
can
we-
get it
I
squared
think we
away.
have a resolution and a path forward that we can get this done very
But
quickly.
again, not everybody's gonna be understanding.
No.
John.
I just want to say one last thing before I do. There were 3 other pensions granted before mine was, and they put the applications in after I did. So I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still waiting for that answer. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Next.
All right, upcoming appointments, sewer use board of review, 1 alternate member vacancy with a term to expire October 2024 and 1 vacancy with a term to expire October 2023. The pension committee, it does say on the agenda 2 vacancies, but with the resignation of Adam Satchel, it will be 3 vacancies, all terms to expire November 18th, 2024. The juvenile hearing board now only has 1 vacancy with a term to expire December 2021. We are still looking for a tree warden. I have actually left a message with DEM looking for a list of qualified people because we don't have one. I am still waiting to hear from the school committee on a member of the recreation committee.
I did, I voted on it and everything. at that
No,
meeting.
actually, Louis says he thinks he sent it.
I have not received official communication from the school committee
We'll
on
get
that.
with Louis tomorrow.
Public forum.
Public comment. First and foremost, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I can't believe it's already the end of the year. So, everybody have safe and enjoyable holidays before the comments.
Tom Oates, 6 Colonial Way, off the agenda. Just want to make a shout out. I have 3 children, a family that I've advocated for 2 years in the court system. And they've had rough time. Mom's had a rough time, but she turned everything around. Everything's going great. And they were lied to by DCYF, and she wound up getting a rotisserie chicken for Thanksgiving that she bought out of pocket juggling. I happened to be talking to a neighbor that lives over on Robinson Way about this, and she jumped right out, and she's buying Thanksgiving dinner for this family.
Christmas
And-
dinner, you mean?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
No, I
ready to
understand.
go. Also, she's a member at the Crompton Vets, and she had a conversation down there. Well, they're already stretched right out. They have a huge pile that they deal with. As a matter of fact, the other night I went down there to give this little chirp to the members down there, and they had a room as big as this filled with gifts and people wrapping. And there's 40-some children that were represented in that room that are going to have a bright Christmas, and all these volunteers in there. And then you have all the people over in the bar. And this young lady on the next street over, she made a couple of phone calls, passed the hat at the bar, because they had all their money, everything was stretched out. So they had nothing for this family. And the family's not from West Warwick. Family's actually from Providence. And they were stretched out, they had nothing. So they were chirping about it, passed the hat, made a bunch of phone calls. Crompton Vets Association raised a little over $430, almost $440 for this family to make a bright Christmas. And these are people from all over West Warwick that belong to the Crompton Vets. There's some great people. They do some great things. And I just want to shout out to the men and women from the Crompton Vets for a wonderful Christmas that they added to their already wonderful Christmas for so many. They reached in and they made it happen for this family. So a shout out to all of those members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
And with that being said, we always hear about these good stories during the holiday times. And we know this year Christmas is kind of folded abruptly in October. And I know there's Christian, was it the,
It's Christian Outreach Ministries. It's an offset of, but the Operation Christmas Blessing, they took over for, was Christmas Is, which was here for 45 years, doing amazing work, and they took over, and that was actually last weekend, and they helped out.
and they,
families.
and they did the same thing. They came in and they took a few hundred families on that normally Christmas Is
A
does.
few hundred children, over 150 families, sorry.
Meanwhile, Manny Murray had a medical condition that put him in the hospital, and he's usually involved with taking families out shopping and whatever. And one of our councilmen, Jay Messier, did step up to also do something and help out with Manny's tasks. But with that being said, I know he invited a few of us, and I think Sarah was there, I was there, I got to drive the bus. And one of the nicest things, Tom, was, as we were shopping with these kids and talking to them, it was just seeing, I had a 17-year-old gentleman who is a senior at Westwork High School, just talking to him, and he was more concerned about getting stuff for his sister than he was for himself and his mother and father. So it was just a tremendous fun night. And, again, I thank Manny Murray and his group for continue doing what they're doing, Christian Hills doing what they stepped in and did this year, because unfortunately there are families out there who cannot have a great holiday, or, financially things happen, food and whatever else. And the Elks, I play cards there. I know the proceeds that, we play pitch, and if you ride, it's a quarter. Every quarter goes into the Christmas fund, and it adds up by the end of the year. You don't realize, how much actually goes in to the Christmas
You're a bad
fund.
Hilo Jack player.
Yeah,
That's,
and again, exactly. And a lot of people who don't even want credit for it, and it's amazing, and they don't even look for the credit. And again, I just hope everybody has a good, safe, happy holiday season.
Angel in Action.
Angel Action, there's so many, and it's good to see it. And, thank you for bringing that to us tonight. With that being said,
Motion adjourned. Merry Christmas.
Second.
happy holidays,
Be
everyone.
safe,
Merry Christmas,
everybody.
everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
What's that?
Don't go anywhere.
Tell me what to do.
Don't go anywhere, Mom.